Let's get on to this. The Gauteng government has honored the iconic women who led the 1956 march against apartheid pass. In one of the largest demonstrations in South Africa's history, around 20,000 women from various backgrounds marched to Pretoria's Union buildings, sending a powerful message of resistance against unjust laws. Today, hundreds of women, joined by provincial leaders, retraced those historic moments and that route in a commemoration of Women's Day. Newzroom Afrika's Veronica Makhoali joins us now live from the Union buildings. Veronica, good afternoon and thank you so much for being with us. We do know that the MEC for Sports, Arts and Culture had his address and encouraging that we should encourage more when it comes to women's sports and things that are being done by women across the province. What were some of the responses by those in attendance?
Well, absolutely. In fact, the MEC really gave the keynote address here after a day of festivities. If you can still hear me, we are still at the Union buildings where there is still a lot of hype and a celebration here today of essentially Women's Day, remembering those iconic women, the 20,000 of them that took the journey here to the Union buildings, but also the women of today. And that is essentially what the MEC's speech really spoke about, looking at the past to essentially create the future of a generation of young girls, of young women who are able to take South Africa forward, to take the society and their communities forward. I think one of the key things that he did mention is that, and while we celebrate Women's Day and the profound courage and sacrifices those women, including Winnie Mandela, Helen Joseph, Rahima Musa, had done for the country, it's also important that we take in our young men and our children to prepare them perhaps for the future of where South African women are at the helm of leadership. But to talk a little bit more about his speech, I am joined by the MEC. Thank you so much for your time. You've been walking around today and speaking with some of the young women that are here. Let's start from the very beginning. That parade we saw of law enforcement officials, a parade of just women leading that march to the Union buildings. I think it was also quite a profound moment, I think, as well for the province.
Yes, indeed. And also here in Tshwane, they've got a female chief of police, Faro, which was quite impressive when I was. And this is a step in the right direction. We're moving forward as a nation because women are taking up their spaces. Women are protecting us. That's why the parade of those women police, wardens, traffic, and so forth. So it's a journey today that demonstrates how far we've come as a nation.
And MEC, I think just to touch on some of the points that you made during your address, you spoke about that courage, that sacrifice and tenacity of the women of 1956. The women of 2024 and beyond, how would you describe the future generation of the women of South Africa today?
Firstly, look, we have to draw. They have to draw the courage from the women of 56. 68 years down the line, the struggle still continues. The challenges that are facing women still continue. So they need not give up, to reclaim their places. The dust is in
It's a busy day, yeah.
It's a dust, yeah. So they need to, what I would say to them, especially the young women, is that they need to understand that in part of my speech I quoted Charlotte Makhoali speaking about not the self, to get rid of the self and pursue selflessness. And they need to understand that being a woman, amongst of the three characters, being selfless, being a mother, being a leader, being a mentor, and also draw the inspiration from those women of 56, because they knew coming here was a risk for their lives, their families, their children. But yet they were willing to take that sacrifice and really take their position in society. And the women of today, especially young ones, they need to know that their society is there for them, the world is there, the policies are there. It's up to them now to rise.
And I think the final question that I would have for you, they say behind every great man is an even greater woman. A tribute today to any of the women in your life, MEC?
No, all of them. It takes a village to raise a child. So all the women in my life, from my mother to my partner, everyone, they play a significant role in, and I appreciate appreciate them, all of them.
Thank you so much for your time. You're hearing there as well from the MEC of Education, Sports and Culture here in Gauteng, reflecting on the celebrations today here at Women's Day. I can tell you that while it was a celebration for women, there were many sectors of women's society that were represented here, as you saw earlier, from law enforcement, emergency services. There were members of the LGBTQ plus community. There were traditional leaders here in the form of women. So there were also young pupils from high schools in their school uniform also taking part in the celebration. So an all-encompassing day to take a look at the women that make South Africa's society what it is today. And I think for the many that were not part necessarily of the retracing of the steps from the union buildings, seeing the visuals that came out from today, many people would have taken a moment to really have felt that profound moment as we walked through the capital city, as we walked through Pretoria, up until the lawns here at the union buildings, and really a signifying moment in our country's history of where we stand today. For now, back to you in studio.